So Jeremy, tyre choice. Obviously it depends on the conditions and also the running of the course. You can have grass where it can be very muddy, but you can also really fast running grass. So what are the basic general idea of the file treads and the sticky treads and the muddy treads that we can pick from?
Yeah, I mean there's a bunch of different tyre choices out there. I'd say the two most common ones would be the diamond tread, which is like a Griffo, which people usually know it as. This is your fast tread that is your go-to, I think. And then the other one would be your mud tire, and that can be a super mud, it could be a Dugast, a Limus.
Yeah, Limus, yeah.
Limuses are good. It all depends on the conditions. It's going to be really muddy for you to use the super mud. It really hooks up, it's got big knobs, it clears mud really well, and that's in real muddy conditions. But it all depends on the conditions. Today in the tutorial we had really fast conditions, so a Griffo tread would be good. A file tread would have been even better today. We don't have any rolling resistance on the top of it, but you have side knobs to connect on the corners.
Cool. Okay, and then obviously the big question which surrounds every start line and every warm-up at cross race is tyre pressure.
I mean, tyre pressure is huge. You see at the start of races, people feeling each other's tires, trying to psych each other out, like, oh, what tyre pressure are you running today? I'd say it's it is the most important thing in a cross race. You can get to the start line and have the wrong PSI, and it'll throw off your whole day. So I'd say as a rule of thumb, you're going to start with at least 2 bar, 30 psi-ish, before on your first lap warm up, and from there, essentially you go down. I mean, that depends on your weight, really. But I mean, I'm what am I? 70 kilos, 71 kilos. So I usually start with 30 psi, and you come down from there. And that depends on if there's rocks, if there's roots, if it's a really flat, fast, muddy course, you can run real low pressures, and that's where a lot of like Belgian races, I mean, yeah, you can run 15 psi in some of those races because there's no rocks, it's just deep soft mud.
So it is really catered to obviously the body weight of the rider,
yeah,
and the conditions. Obviously being too low, you're going to potentially pinch flat. Tubular tyre could roll, yep, potentially if it's not glued on properly. Likewise, too hard, not enough grip, yep, and could be bouncing around as well.
Yep.
One great thing to actually have in your toolkit is one of these, and it's an air checker, and basically you just attach this to your valve, hit a button, and that will give you literally your tyre pressure on a little display, so you can take that around the course with you. Dead easy, fits in your pocket, check your tyre pressure, let a couple of PSI out, and it will always give you the same reading. Likewise, I think we spoke about earlier before we started shooting, was that always had the same track pump.
Yeah. Always have the same pump throughout the whole season. Everyone's pumps read differently, they're all calibrated differently. So if you have your pump, always bring it with you so it reads consistently throughout the whole season, and take notes of what you're racing on for tire pressure at every race you do, because then you can look back on it, oh, this race was fast, I ran 24 psi, it was perfect for me, so you know that for the later on down in the season. So
yeah, it might sound quite obvious, but if you have got the luxury of having 2 bikes, make sure both bikes have the same PSI in the tyres. There's nothing worse than jumping from one bike onto the other and the tyre pressure is all over the place, because literally it could ruin your whole race.
It changes the whole thing. I mean, tyre pressures really make it how the bike feels underneath you. So perfect. And I mean, to go into a little bit more detail, tubulars are pretty much the preferential thing right now. Clinchers are hard to race on because there's tubes inside of them, so if you hit a rock, you're going to most likely pinch flat. Tubulars, you can hit the rim sometimes, and it's not going to flat. You can really push them a lot farther. Yeah.
There's also a little bit of a move towards tubeless as well sometimes.
Yeah, tubeless technology is really coming up.
Even on the road now, it's been mountain biking for years, yeah, but there wouldn't be many guys riding tubeless at the top.
I mean, I don't think there's really any guys at all riding tubeless at the top in the world standings. There's definitely people doing it, but I think the technology needs to get a little bit better, but it is there, and it's a very good way to get into cyclocross, mm-hmm, and not have to buy tubulars, because I mean, it is a pain in the butt. You got to glue these things on, it takes a long time, and if you don't glue them properly, you're going to roll it off the rim.
Yeah, so I suppose a tubeless tyre can maybe be a nice happy medium between the two.
Exactly.
You can experiment without the risk of puncturing on your tyre pressures, etc.
Yeah.
And then you've got kind of like a nice balance between supple tyre as well as low pressure. So
one of the nice things about tubulars though is that you can run them at very low pressures without having the risk of flatting. Clinchers, if you're running them 1 bar, 15 psi, most likely you're going to flat. But if you get that real muddy occasion where you just want the tyre to be real soft, you can run a tubular real low and it's not going to flat unless you really hit it hard. And if you flat, a tubular at least stays on the rim and you can get to the pit without having too much issues. A clincher, the tire can just roll right off of it, and then you're riding right on a rim.
Okay, so you've got your kit bag ready, you've got your bike ready, you've picked your tyres. Now the most important part before any bike race is the warm-up. Now Jeremy, what's your tips for kind of warm-up ideas? And what are you also thinking about? Is the warm-up purely a physical thing, or is it also mental preparation as well?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into the warm-up for a cyclocross race, and the first thing is knowing the course really well. So you get to the race about 3 hours before you start time, and you got to take advantage of the open times to see the course. So you're going to at least do 3 laps. 1 lap real slow, get to know the course, look for rocks, look for roots, look for flatting areas, so you know what tire pressures you're going to choose. 2nd lap a little bit hotter. 3rd lap hot lap, race speed, so you know exactly how far you can push the bike. And then that's it. You get off the course, you come back to the trainer, and that's where you kind of visualize what's going to happen in the race while you're warming up.
Yeah, a key point that you actually brought up was the fact that you'd have to do sections at race speed, because for a lot of people they don't actually do the course at race speed. So on the actual day of the event, on the first lap is usually the fastest time they hit all the sections, and then that's where mistakes can happen. So definitely do a hot lap,
yeah,
especially in the more technical sections, so you've got a better idea of what your approach speed should be, especially for things like barriers and off-camber sections, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta know your limits, because I mean, first lap of cross race can be where you lose it. If you're gonna go in too hot, you haven't practiced it at speed, you lose traction, all that stuff. So knowing the course, and then warming up for the cross race on the trainers is a huge part of being ready for the race. The shorter the race, they say, the longer the warm-up. So getting in a proper warm-up is huge.
You've got kind of like a template warm-up that you use usually for a cross race, or does it differ from the courses, or would you use the same warm-up for a road race and a criterium as you would for cyclocross race?
Always different for cross. I mean, you kind of have to lay out your whole day for a cross race, because everything's so specific. So I usually get on the trainer about 45 minutes before my start time to allow for a solid half an hour warm-up. And in that, you usually warm up for 10 minutes, and then you do some efforts, and then you cool down and you get ready to go to the start. And some of the efforts I like to do is just 5-minute tempo block, just to get things really going, and then a quick 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds off, to really get that high end ready, because the start of a cross race is one of the most intense things you can do. It's full gas for about 5 to 15 minutes, so you have to be ready to be redlined at the beginning of a cross race.
You literally have to be sweating on that start line. Yeah. Excellent, some great tips there for Jeremy. Okay, so thanks for joining us here in our Experts Cross Clinic with Jeremy and Gabby Durran as part of the Meta Athletes, powered by What's Your Meta. Okay, so we hope you enjoyed the content of our videos today. We're going to finish off now with 3 key things which we think are going to help improve your cross. My first one is grip,
momentum,
and skill.
If you practice those 3 things and you use the skills that we gave you today, you dial in your tire pressures for the grip, and you keep your momentum throughout the race, you'll be on for a good cross season.
Good luck
out there.
Smash it.
Crush it.